In this episode, we'll continue to pay tribute to some of the thriving African American cities and towns that were deliberately destroyed in the US. Now, what is most troubling about some of these destructions that happened over 100 years ago is that some were sparked by incidents which are eerily similar to the incidents that led to the Black Lives Matter movement. It is shocking to admit that it does not seem that much has changed. In East St. Louis, Illinois, in 1917, a white man in a Ford car decided to go around shooting into black homes. The black residents decided to arm themselves and retaliate by firing on two men who they saw approaching the car of the man who had been taking shots at them. It turned out that the two who they shot and killed were cops. Rather than have the shooters arrested and tried to get to the truth about what occurred, a mob of white people who seemed to have been waiting for just such an event went on a rampage. The mob killed about 50 black people and drove 6,000 others out from the city. Let me try and drive home just how vicious the attack was by a quote from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch from their archive. I saw Negro women begging for mercy and pleading that they had harmed no one, set upon by white women of the baser sort, who laughed and answered the coarse sallies of men as they beat the negresses' faces and breasts with fists, stones, and sticks. End of quote. This is an account by an eyewitness to the event, a reporter, Carlos F. Hurd. He wrote this the day after watching a white mob stone and murder black people indiscriminately on the streets of East St. Louis on July 2nd, 1917. So have you ever wondered why there are so many sundown towns, gray towns, sundowner towns, sundown counties, and sundown suburbs in your state? Well, Corbin, Kentucky, home of the famous Kentucky Fried Chicken, is a good example of how some of these areas came into existence. It is good that the town now says it is committed to changing its demographics. When I checked what its current demographics is in order to write this episode, it turns out in this year 2022, it has 0.26% African Americans and 0.31% Native American population. It is not surprising that Corbin is still grappling with his history as a Sundown town. On the 30th and 31st of October 1919, they did a thorough job of cleansing their city of all blacks when an armed mob forced out hundreds of black residents. They had to bring in extra rail cars to run the black people out of town. From that date on until recently, they made it clear that black residents simply weren't welcome there. Well, Corbin is just one of thousands of white-only communities throughout the US. Now, research shows that 1919, the year immediately after the First World War, which ended in November 1918, was a particularly bloody one for African Americans. In fact, the summer of 1919 has been described as Red Summer because there were nearly 100 lynchings and dozens of racially charged incidents. We will continue in the next episode, starting with one of the incidents in Chicago. Thanks for watching. Please support us through Patreon and by buying me coffee so we can continue to bring you this series. Subscribe if you've not, and turn on your notification buttons. Please don't forget to share our videos with all your contacts and keep those comments coming.